Hey guys, welcome back to the Watches and Giggles channel. I'm Chris from Chicago. First off, as always, everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you for stopping by, and if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back. I do appreciate it. All right, in today's video, I'm super pumped to bring to you a 6-month review of the Tudor GMT. We're going to talk about the good, we're going to talk about the bad, my ownership experience, where have I taken this watch, have I had any problems with this watch, would I recommend this watch to you. We're going to touch on a little bit of everything today, and I'm excited about it. But before we do, we'll see what I'm wearing. And today I have on another GMT. Its older brother, the Rolex GMT Master 2, BLNR, Batman, Batgirl, Bruce Wayne, whatever. This is a stunning watch. We're going to do a comparison between these two, not today, but we will do that in a future video. But let's get into it, guys. The Tudor GMT. I have now owned this watch for 6 months. And let's get it off the pillow here. And let's dive in to the aesthetics of it first. The colors of the bezel to me are absolutely perfect. I think for me, they nailed the red. It is a brighter, more vibrant red than I think it even comes across in pictures. I think it's a little more vivid in person. It does pop in the sunlight. The blue is a little more, it's toned down. It's more of a matte blue, a muted finish blue, but it does pop in the sunlight. But in some instances, in lower lights, you could mistake this for a Coke, not a Pepsi. So that definitely is a possibility. In lower lightings, people would think maybe this is a 5-digit Rolex Coke. But the snow flurry, as we're calling it, with the hour hand, the second hand, and the GMT hand, I love it. You either love it or hate it, right? If you love the snowflake design, you're going to absolutely love the snow flurry, as they're calling it. Now, the dial on it, I love it. I absolutely love it. It is a toned down matte finish dial. There's no sheen to it. And this camera isn't going to catch it, but it is even a tiny bit grainy or pebbly in texture. And I think it's remarkable. And I just love looking at it. I love those finishes. I actually prefer it. I have the Explorer, which has a similar matte dial, and the SD43 Rolex Sea Dweller, which also has a matte dial. So I really like matte dials a lot. This, however, has the glossy black. And all right, what the hell? You can see the differences right there. You can see the glossy black, and then you'll see here more toned down matte finish. But it's absolutely wonderful. And some people don't like it, but the indices on this are smaller. They're not enlarged maxi indices. The hour markers are smaller. And I kind of like it. A lot of people don't because it makes the dial look bigger, but I really enjoy it. And then the writing in a silvery tone, I think is absolutely beautiful, which you get on the Black Bay 58 Blue Bay. I think the Tudor writing is absolutely fantastic. How they executed it, guys. I think it's done beautifully. Now, some will say the Tudor and the writing down here, the 3 lines of text, the GMT, you know, all that good stuff. You can read it. I don't think it's too far apart. I think it's just fine. To me, the spacing on the dial makes sense. Some people think it's too far apart. I don't. After owning it for 6 months, wearing it, loving it, enjoying it, I have no problem with the spacing. And then we'll move on to the crown here. There we go, that beautiful rose crown. I actually really enjoy it. I'll take off the watch. I'll look at that rose. I think it's beautifully done. I enjoy that there is no tube here. It's just a more sterile vision you get from this. It is just beautiful. I'm glad they didn't put a tube. Some people kind of wish they put a blue tube or a red tube, but I'm glad they didn't. And the beveling is wonderful. It's wonderfully executed by Tudor. I think Tudor is knocking it out of the park with their pricing and finishing of the watches. No, it's not up to a Rolex standard, but come on. This watch is, I believe now in American dollars, $4,050, and it's worth every penny to me. And the good thing about this watch is you can find it on the aftermarket or gray market for less than that now. So the hype is gone. This is a non-hype review of this watch. So the polishing guys, is done beautifully as well. Yes, the rivets, a lot of people talk about the rivets. It doesn't bother me in the slightest or in the least now, because when you're wearing it, you're not going to take it off and stare at the rivets. You don't even see it. You don't even notice it. Do I wish they were there? No. If I could take it or leave it, I would definitely leave it, but it is what it is. But it doesn't bug me as much as I thought it might initially when purchasing the watch. It is not a big deal at all. And then we'll move on to the clasp here. I love how Tudor incorporates the shield there. Also, we'll take it off here in the bottom. It has a shield there too, and if you wear your watches a little tight like I do, I know it bugs some of you guys, but you will get that shield imprinted on your wrist when you take it off. It does, interestingly enough, not have Swiss made on the clasp here. I know some people have pointed that out, and I don't know what to make of that. I'm not sure if it is Swiss made, because in the older models, the older generation Tudor, the ETAs, and some other ones, they did have Swiss made on there. So not sure what happened with that, but you can see the case back writing. A little interesting, as we know, Rolex, this bad boy doesn't have any. So that's kind of disappointing with Rolex, but that's what's come to expect. But this guy does have some writing on it, showcasing their in-house movement. And that's a good segue to go to the movement. Have I had the dreaded date wheel complication or skip happen? I have not. Knock on wood for me, guys. No problems with this Tudor GMT as of yet. No skipping, no nothing. It's worked flawlessly. I played with the date many times, and it is a snappy date change. And it does change probably like 1 minute after midnight. It's not right on the dot, sometimes 30 seconds. So it's not perfect, but it doesn't get stuck. And when it changes, it is a solid click sound. So the movement, no issues there. This is a Q serial number starting with Q. It was purchased August 6th, 2020. And, people say with the Q serial, you shouldn't have any problems, but who knows? I don't know what's going on with Tudor. Do I think it's an epic fail that this issue even is occurring at all? I do. I think Tudor misstepped big time with this movement and the date wheel issue, and that's causing prices to go down as people don't want to buy it. But another thing about this watch, which I'm about to put it on my wrist, but you'll see here, it is very, very top heavy. If you have a small wrist, I'll take the Rolex off here, it is going to be cumbersome for you to wear, okay? This watch is top heavy. I have a 7.5-inch wrist, so it is not a big deal for me. But if you have a 6.5-inch wrist or smaller, it's going to be too top heavy, and it's going to slide around on your wrist. It doesn't so much for me, but it will for you. So if you have a smaller wrist, that is definitely one negative about this watch. And it's not horribly heavy, but it's up there. I believe around, I'm not sure, 180 grams, I think, total weight. But, overall, guys, this watch, I am very, very pleased. I've taken it to Maine, to Bar Harbor. I've taken it in the water. I've taken it on a plane, and it's performed magnificently. I believe it's keeping to about 3 seconds a day is what I've timed it out to. So pretty darn good for a Tudor. And I love it, guys. Aesthetically, I think this watch is awesome. Another negative about this watch is the bezel action. As it's tight, it is crisp, but it's a little hard to grip, and the clicks aren't as satisfying as here. This is much smoother, less choppy. They're really not even that satisfying on the Rolex GMT, to be quite honest with you. But the bezel action is not as good on the GMT as it is on the Tudor Divers. The Tudor Divers is excellent, the bezel action. So that's one thing that you may be disappointed on. But the colors, I'm just over the moon with. Aesthetically, yes, it's top heavy, but I love the bracelet. I love how it tapers. Yes, the rivets, not so much. But overall, I would definitely recommend this watch to you if you have the wrist, especially now that it can be had for almost a steal, I think. You can find a really good price used on this watch right now. So overall, guys, over the moon with the Tudor GMT. We'll do an upcoming almost knocked that over. Comparison of these two guys shortly, as I thought that would be a good time to do it after this review. But that's going to do it for today, guys. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone's safe. Hope everyone's healthy. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Take care.